Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another NFT Journey. This is journey number 2, and I decided to record a video this time and get back to my roots of audio and video. But I did the last episode, and I did it audio only, and then I went back and edited some text art and some animations to kind of bring some points home. So I think I want to do that again. But I want to have my face and the text stuff this time. So kind of jazzing it up a little bit. For this episode, we got a few topics that we want to discuss. And the first is some clarifications. I want to ensure people where I stand and what I was talking about in the last video. So I had some comments on the video that said that I can't believe you're defending this trash. I can't believe you're doing this. If you're going to be talking about NFTs, then I'm going to leave. And, I kind of expected some of that backlash. But one thing I did want to clarify is that I'm not defending NFTs. That is the main thing I want to say. I'm not defending them. I'm learning about them. So that's where I stand. My current stance is that I'm in the process of learning how everything works, because there's a lot of terminology, a lot of things. And when you have a flurry of, let me put on my smart glasses here. E equals MC squared. I am officially smart. When you have a large polarization like this, it's easy for information to get lost. So I always like to take a step back and look at things rationally and form an opinion that way. Now, I can tell you where I currently stand right now, like right this second. I think right now NFTs are too risky to get into. And I put up a Twitter thread on this a while ago, talking about, it was like maybe 5 or 6 posts on Twitter, kind of long. I said that, yeah, NFTs in their current state are not in a good place. And there's a lot of scams, and there's a lot of bad actors, and there's a lot of negative things out there. And right now, I don't think it's a good time to get into it, especially if you're not if you're not like overflowing with cash and you just don't have, if you have money to burn, and you're susceptible to scams, because a lot of people will invite you to their Discord and they'll do these drops, and next thing you know, you're out of money. And next thing you know, they've taken all your money. They've done a pump and dump. They've done they just done a rug pull. They've done something that a lot of people do during these technological shifts. It happened in Web 2.0. A lot of it happened in Web 2.0. Oh my goodness. A lot of it happened in Web 1.0. Nigerian scams. People still get these messages in their email box talking about, you're the benefactor of this, you're the benefactor of that. And even there's Twitch streamers that are dedicated to calling these spammers and playing around with them, because and these scammers, I didn't say spammers, I didn't mean to say spammers. These scammers, and they're purposely wasting their time because they're preying upon people. And there's a lot of people like that in the world, not just limited to crypto and NFT. Right now, though, NFTs are a hotbed for scams. Everybody who's a grifter out there, who is a scam artist, they look at NFTs and they go, oh my goodness, there's so many marks. There's so many people susceptible to this. There's so much hype. And it's so easy to do. And there's very little oversight. There's very little ways to get caught scamming people. And there's no repercussions, seemingly, for scamming people. So it's ripe for scams. And that's the way I feel. It's too risky to get involved with that right now until things change. And I want to make it clear that I'm not defending that nonsense. I'm not defending people using it for money laundering because of some of the loopholes, which, we have loopholes in our current system, pretty bad ones that people have been manipulating for years and years. That's another topic, but that doesn't excuse what's happening with NFTs, though. It doesn't excuse it at all. Lots of negative things are happening with bad actors and stuff, which is why I am on a mission to learn how this stuff works. Because if you learn how it works and you learn how things behave, it's easier to convey that knowledge to other people, to educate them, number one, and most importantly, and to just educate yourself. You really want to know what you're talking about if you're against something. If you're standing against something, know what you're talking about. Don't just follow the crowd. Don't just follow what people are saying. Don't just follow the trends. Know what you're talking about. Know why you're standing against it. And it's not just some headline. Know the real reasons. And, you know, that's some of the, that's motivation behind me going in, researching everything, seeing exactly how it works, exactly where the problems are, exactly where things can be fixed. Knowledge is power. That's the only way to say it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with learning about NFTs, and that's what this whole series is about. We're going to be looking at terms. We're going to be looking at how things work, news topics, what's happening, what does this mean? Is it anything we should be concerned about? Because at the end of the day, while you do not like NFTs and while you think they're bad, they are going to affect you in one way or another. You're going to be affected. And you can probably navigate around it. You can probably figure out how to do things to not be involved. And how are you going to do that if you don't know how they work? So it's important to learn this stuff. And I hope you come on this journey with me. So I just want to clarify that. I want to clarify that I am currently telling people not to do NFTs because right now it's too risky. It's too volatile. A lot of things are in flux. Let the early adopters do it. People like me, what I used to do. I don't do it as much anymore. Let us do it. Let us figure it out. And then when it all shakes down and all the scam artists are done and everybody's made their whatever they're gonna make, their pump and dumps, and everything is settled, then maybe you can dip your toe in the pool. Maybe. But right now it is really, really, really volatile, and I don't think you want to get involved right now. So just want to make that clear. That's where I currently stand. I want to clarify the last episode and talking about the positives and the negatives of NFTs, because there are positives. Simply because there are positives doesn't mean that I am gung-ho yay NFT. It means that I see a new technology and I want to learn about it. So the first story that I want to talk about is Gary V. Gary Vaynerchuk. I've known Gary for a long time. He doesn't know me. Well, he talked to me a couple times, but he probably doesn't remember me. But I've known Gary a long time, and I have a lot of respect for his opinions because we shared a lot of the same opinions in the Web 2.0 days. We knew how impactful it was going to be. We knew how important it was going to be. And we both saw the value of what was going on, and it turned out to be true. So Gary is reluctantly, I won't say reluctantly, but he's a very cautious NFT enthusiast. So he realizes, and this is why I like Gary, because he doesn't ignore things. He looks at the full picture and then he makes rational decisions based on that, based on what he thinks may happen. And he owns up to those decisions. So he knows NFTs are volatile. He even has gone on the record to say that 90% of these NFT projects that you see right now are going to crumble and fail and burst, and that this bubble is going to burst. This whole NFT bubble is going to explode, and a lot of people are going to be left without money, assets, or anything, which is, I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely, positively agree with that. And he says that, but with that being said, that doesn't mean that the tech is going to fail, right? And the same thing happened with Web 2.0, the Web 2.0 bubble. Who was around for that? This guy. I was around for that. And that bubble bursted. And oh my goodness, the fallout was crazy. I think I went through like 3 or 4 layoffs with 2 different companies. How's that possible? It was crazy how much hype and millions of dollars was thrown into these wacky ideas, and then they ended up failing, right? The speculation market, as some people call it, is like a lot of people were betting on this thing being the next big thing, and it wasn't. Same thing is happening today. And Gary recognizes that. I recognize that. It's going to be something that is going to happen. So I respect Gary. So I saw he put up a video today, and he's talking about he put a video up on Twitter, not on his YouTube, talking about these people who they do airdrops. And what they do, if they have your wallet address, they can just send you stuff. And I think this is a problem with NFTs. People could just send you stuff. It's almost like an email inbox. But the problem with them sending you an NFT or an airdrop is that you're stuck with it. You can't get rid of it unless you pay a transaction fee to get rid of it. And with Ethereum gas prices being the way they are, that could add up really fast. So what people are doing to Gary, and I really feel for him, is that they're sending him all these bogus NFTs, right, that he doesn't want. And then they're going out and advertising and saying that Gary V owns this NFT. You want it too, because everybody knows Gary. He's a big name in the NFT sphere. I just said that word, NFT sphere. I can't believe I said that. He's a big name, right? And he says he's getting tired of it. He's like, stop sending me these NFTs and preying upon people, innocent people, using my name. I think here's his quote. He says that, hey, NFT News and all other accounts that take money from these projects that airdrop these products into my account and others' accounts, and then say stuff like Gary V owns this, or this person owns that, or this, that. Can you just stop doing that? It makes you look insane. This project is completely full of crap. He didn't say crap. And is trying to trick people, and that sucks. That's all he says. It's very straight and to the point. And it's really bad because you really can't get rid of these things. You have to burn them or transfer them, and then you have to use gas fees to do that. Like $50 to like $200 to $400. It can get really high. The gas fees can get really high. And I've even heard about these things, and these have been documented, of people putting malicious NFTs in people's wallets. So if you touch it, if you try to access it, or try to burn it, or try to transfer it, it executes some code and it steals your wallet. And there's nothing you can do about that. I think this is one of the scariest things about NFTs, is that they drop things in your wallet that are like viruses. They're like Trojan horses, right? I don't think they're viruses. They don't replicate. They're like Trojans. They're like they have a payload. You access them, they activate, boom. There goes your money in your wallet. And it's the reason why a lot of people, they have what they call public wallets, which are just public facing wallets where they just have stuff in there, but it's not their main wallet, because if somebody sends them something malicious in their main wallet, they could be out of a lot of money. And that's just part of it. There's so many more loopholes with this current NFT iteration. And Gary, he's a big NFT advocate now. He says, his terms and the words that he uses are, I'm in it for life. So if people are going to invest in his Gary V token, whatever it's called, V Friends, I think it's called V Friends. If they're going to invest in V Friends, then they got to know that he is going to be around to support that for life, for the rest of his life, and then some. And it's really, really sad that this is happening. Now, there's some controversy around this. I went to the thread and I read some of this stuff. And the organization that's being accused are saying that it's not them, that it's someone impersonating them, which is probably, very likely to be true. But I think the point that Gary is making is very true as well, is that this stuff needs to stop. And there needs to be something put in place to prevent it from happening anymore. Because like I said, that's just a big thing. A big problem. Big problem. So check the story out. I first found it on one of my favorite sites out there, web3isgoinggreat.com. Let me tell you, you want to see the dumpster fire that is satire. I mean, it's not satire. It is sarcastic, by the way, by saying Web3 is going great. If you want to see the dumpster fire that's happening in Web3 and NFT development, you want to see that side of things, bookmark this site. Web3 is going great. I'm telling you. This, if you hate NFTs, this is your place. Go here. You're going to see all the bad stuff. All of it. And like I said, when I'm learning this stuff, I want to see all the angles. I want to see the extreme bad. I want to see the extreme good. I want to see the middle. I want to see the different temperatures. This right here represents all the stuff that's really bad. And this is important. You can't ignore this. You really can't ignore the things that are bad that's going on with NFTs. So yeah, it's a good site. So I found it there. Okay. Another one I found over there, and I was just browsing the site. I was like, hey, I'll talk about this on the podcast because I was researching this, are DAOs, DAOs. I was actually learning about DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, and I was trying to figure out like I've heard it explained. I've had it explained to me probably 4 or 5 times, and it's just like, why? I kept saying that. I was like, why? And the only thing I can think of, if you don't know what a DAO is, I highly recommend you check out, I think it's Whiteboard Learning on YouTube. They do whiteboard NFT crypto stuff. Whiteboard Crypto, I think is the name. They did a very good video on DAOs. I'll put that link in the show description. You got to check that out. If you want a good description of DAOs, check that out. But what it is essentially an automated company, right? It's an automated set of rules that dictate a bunch of policies via programs on the blockchain, right? So it's almost like Boss is like the company, this DAO is being run by a program. So you put a bunch of rules in there, if there's and that's, while loops and case statements, all this stuff, case statements, and the DAO runs things. But changes to the DAO have to go through sort of like a board, like a group of individuals that own tokens. They have these influential tokens, which are essentially the same as votes. So you can think of it almost like a stock exchange where shareholders, people who have the majority of shareholders, have more voting power, or people on the board of directors or something, they have more voting power. So the more tokens you have in this DAO, the more voting power you have to influence what happens with the DAO in terms of changes. So a guy over at Build Finance found a loophole in this, and he drained $470,000 from the DAO. This is how he did it. This is explained over here. He said, a person managed to submit a proposal to the DAO that governs Build Finance, right? Submit a proposal. You have to submit a proposal. It has to get voted on. A decentralized venture builder that would allow them to take over the project contract. So he sent a proposal that says, I want to take over. I propose that I take over. That's exactly. I propose that I take over. That's what he did. The attacker succeeded in obtaining enough votes for the proposal to pass, primarily because they held an outsized number of governance tokens, and because they were able to disable community Discord features that would have alerted more of the community to the proposal. So he had enough tokens to make this decision. He unilaterally said, I'm taking over. That's the way I understand it. After the proposal passed and they were granted control over the project, they began minting and selling the project's native build token, draining the project treasury of about $470,000. According to the Build Finance, as things stand, the attacker has full control of the governance contract, minting keys, and treasury. The DAO no longer has control over any part of the key infrastructure. Some have questioned whether the incident can properly be described as an attack or a hostile takeover. Everything worked exactly as it was supposed to in as code is law sort of way, even though it was against the intentions of the project founders and presumably the most of its community. So this is a giant, humongous loophole in just DAO. It has people behind it. There are people behind the DAO. And where there are people, there is your biggest flaw. So you can have code is law all day, but as long as people are there, this kind of stuff can happen. This guy managed to have controlling enough tokens to do this. And he's like, oh, I can just propose that I take over and I own the place now. And he cashed out $500,000. Web3 is going great. So it's like, as I'm learning about DAO, I go, why? Why would you want this? Because people want a decentralized way of doing things. And, you know, there's a lot of noble reasons behind this. They want to remove control from single entities like governments to just come in and take over things. They want to have some kind of a way for people to control stuff. But the problem is you have people controlling stuff, right? So there's nothing in place to prevent this from happening in a lot of DAOs. Right. I mean, I guess people who are making DAOs now are probably saying, probably we should write something to prevent this from happening. We can't have one person unilaterally just take over everything, mint everything, and then sell it and then cash out and then dump it not dump it, but cash out. We got to come up with some kind of a way to prevent this. Again, this is like that 1.0 stuff I was talking about, man. It's like the first iterations of these things. They have so many holes in them, so many problems that bad actors, as we like to call them, people with malicious intent. Oh, and there's a lot of these people have wide gaping gateways to scam and take your money. And that's something that NFTs and just Web 3.0 has got to solve yesterday, or it's going to get worse. And I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how it can get worse than what it is, but it's somehow going to get worse if they don't do something about it. Instead of just sitting back, cashing in. Like the people who are influencing this stuff, I think they're content. It sounds like they're content with how things are going. I think they want this to happen, and that's not good. And that if that's the case, then definitely do not stick your toe into this pool at all. Just don't do it, right? Now, on the flip side of this, there are DAOs out there with noble efforts, and they have good rules and set. They have distributed coins or distributed tokens that are kind of fair, so that one person doesn't own everything. And they have good intentions, right? Because a lot of these things they start off with good intentions, but that doesn't mean that DAOs are perfect. People think DAOs are going to solve a lot of issues with NFTs, and I don't think they are because of people. I think that's a quotable from that line goes up from Folding Ideas. I think he said the same thing. As long as there are people involved, there's your flaw. There's your flaw. We got to get around the bad actor principle, and that's hard to do. I mean, that's human nature. It's like that. You solve that, you probably have a vector to world peace. So it's not something that you can programmatically solve, unless you go full Matrix and turn everybody into a battery and create a utopia. We won't get into that. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. Gary Vee and the shady airdrops and this Build Finance DAO project being drained. And I'm going to be learning a little bit more about DAOs. I was also learning about DeFi, what's it called? I think it's called distributed finance or something like that. DeFi. I'll just say DeFi. I was learning about that today as well. And it was fascinating. It was fascinating how it's like parallels to banks and loans and stuff, and how they're trying to decentralize that, and how they're trying to get around a lot of the problems that they're having with current lending systems, and just all the fees you have to pay and all that stuff, and people getting rich off of that. And DeFi is looking to make that a little bit more accessible. But the more I looked into DeFi, the more I was like, oh, so that's how people launder money. Because there's nothing. I think the video I saw, there's nothing preventing you from like shifting $10 million with a transaction fee of $5. So if you want to move some money without the government knowing, there's your path. So I think that's why a lot of money laundering happens within crypto, because of these DeFi and people invest in NFTs just like people do with fine art today. They'll offload some assets into that, and they'll dump it, and then they don't have to report it as income. So there's tax loopholes and a whole bunch of stuff that people do today, independent of crypto, that's kind of translating over to these new systems, but they're actually easier because there's less oversight. So when you argue with somebody about NFTs, about how, and they say that, hey, it's a money laundering, all people do is money laundering, that's probably what they're talking about. It's easier to money launder because there's less oversight and less controls and less protections. There's no FDIC, there's no tax. The IRS really doesn't have his fingers in everything yet. That's probably going to change. Get ready. IRS is coming. They probably got a lot of people researching this stuff now, and they're coming. But right now it's the Wild West. It's definitely the Wild West. So I'm learning about DeFi. Maybe we'll talk about a little bit more about it next episode. And DAOs and DeFi have been the things I've been learning about the most. And that's all I have for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the journey. We'll find some more things to talk about. If you guys have any suggestions or links or stuff like that, put them in the comments. Let me know, and I'll look at them, and we can talk about them on the next episode. This is the NFT Journey, episode 2. And just want to touch base with you guys and talk about more about this Web 3.0 and Web 3. They're not calling it 3.0. I find that cute. How everybody was like Web 2.0. They're just calling this Web 3. Trying to be all different. All right, take care. Have a good day, and I'll see you next episode. Bye.